conversation earlier before too. And, if any of you have ever worked for Apple, and as we all know, the founders of Nest come from Apple, we're not going to ask questions about the future here. So we're going to ask questions about the past and lessons learned. And I think there's several could be very interesting lessons learned from the path that Nest has taken. And then the first is from a go-to-market perspective, in terms of, and Kevin had alluded to this, is getting that conversation of the connected home, the smart home going with your consumers. What strategies have you folks employed in terms of getting the attention, besides the great-looking product, great-looking capabilities, what are the lessons learned there in terms of getting consumers to understand this?
So our take on all of this has been, reinventing unloved products in your home. So our first product, the Nest Learning Thermostat, the thermostats really haven't evolved in decades, and we built a product that not only looked great but really worked great as well, and you didn't have to program it. It learned about you, it learned about your home, it learned about your home's heating system, it learned about what you like and what you didn't like, and it programmed itself to save you energy and money. And that product that can work extremely well and learn about you without having to be programmed, I think, has appealed to an awful lot of people. And being able to be remotely controlled as well. People love the remote access functionality, being able to look into their home, their second home, and see, oh, it's cool, it's a nice 21 degrees Celsius, no problems at home, and actually just being able to sort of know about what's going on at home when they're not there. A lot of people love that. There's sort of emotional bonds with our products.
How do you see people, maybe some of the early surprises that you folks have in terms of how they engage with the devices?
Yeah, I think when we put the products out there, we've been able to learn quite a bit about how people use them.
Exactly. And what you can share about that would be great.
I think we definitely see different types of users. There's certain users who interact with they let the product learn about their home, and they don't really they basically put it in, install it, and then never really touch it. They just let it program itself, and then it goes off and does a great job for them. And then you don't really see them interact with it too much. And then you see other types of users who are terribly interactive with the product. They're always messing around with it, futzing with their thermostat and setting it up. And they're more involved with the product on an ongoing basis. But yeah, we see all sorts of different types of users.
Interesting. So obviously, like I said, we're not going to talk about the future, but perhaps we can talk a little bit about the approach, right? So one of the questions that came through our Twitter feed was, is a smart home or a connected home, is it being led by consumer insights or actually being ahead of the consumer, right? And from what I understand, Nest was because Tony Fadell was building a house and he just couldn't find a, so is that a customer insight or is that actually leading the customer?
I think we actually, just by nature of connected home products, certainly ours and many other connected home products, by virtue of being able to do software updates to those products, and A, learn about how they're being used in the field, and B, being able to do software updates, it's actually really changed the way you can build products, because you can put these products into people's homes, let them use them and have them be great products, learn how people use them, and then you can target new features, software features to those homes. Over time, you can add new features that you can work out that you didn't know about when you first built the product, but during its use, you can, wouldn't it be great if the product was able to do this? And now we have the ability to, download new software to these devices and enable new features. We can actually do that in the field to add value on an ongoing basis and make the products better and better over time, not just fixing bugs, but actually adding new features.
I think, and that's a huge lesson for product development organizations in terms of just IoT enabling them. When you have real-time feature usage information at your disposal, that can be very, very powerful for product development, product differentiation, versus relying on focus groups or relying on surveys, which you get the information afterwards. In this case, you're getting the information right away. And that, besides the value of Nest, I think that actually captures the value of what IoT can deliver to enterprises actually building these services. So great. One last question, security, yes. Very quickly. How are you folks addressing it?
So inside of the thread protocol, there's actually an awful lot of security infrastructure. we've sort of thought about security from the ground up when we were designing the networking protocol, and it's really it's designed with a very easy to use method to get products onto the network, but also in a very secure manner. And once devices are on the network, all of the communication across the thread network is always encrypted. And if you want to certify a product as being thread compliant, you have to go through a bunch of security testing. So security is a non-optional piece of thread communications, and we think that's going to really provide additional benefits to the user, obviously, from a privacy and a hacking perspective going forward from connected home. And that's just one big piece of a very large security puzzle that needs to be solved, but it's a very important piece.
Great. Well, then I'll have more questions for you later on that. So, we're out of time, but